Here we are again, people. Here we are again. Another year. NBA Finals are back. A little later than usual, but you know, we're all good with the schedule changes. We were doing this in October last year. All right? All y'all know. All y'all know. Everything should be good. Look at that. Wait. If I turn this way, I'm just getting all this set up again. I'm looking right at Chris Paul's face. That's a bad man right there. That's a bad man right there. Woo, I tell you. What a great game for him tonight. You know, I got to introduce myself. What's good, people? JC3 here. I know we got a lot more viewers to the channel with everything that we've been doing. Subscriber, shout out. We're above 40,000 now. It's a blessing. Looking forward to interacting with everybody here tonight. Of course, this is an annual tradition with the NBA Finals. This is what we do over here on the channel, Topic Tackle times the NBA Finals. You know how it goes. Maybe if I move out the way, you can see the logo. Oh, no, I got to go the other way. Oh, well, look at this. We're all figuring it out. There it is. See, bottom corner. See, this is what we do. This is what we do here. And we've been doing this since 2017. Yeah, since 2017. We did, that was Cavs Warriors, 2018, of course, Cavs Warriors. The Warriors and Raptors in 19, the Heat Lakers last year, and now we got Suns Bucks. Philly Willie is in the chat. What a game. Just want to appreciate the NBA Finals crowd that brought that energy. He is the doctor, of course, and so it would be great if we could get him in the Zoom later if he wants, or maybe just in the chat to talk about how Giannis was able to come back. I know he's training to, be a doctor, all that good stuff. So I have some notes, of course, that I want to get to. Dennis is in the chat, and you already hear what I'm doing. This is kind of, I get sidetracked a little bit because everybody who comments, unless you're posting some nonsense, you're going to get shouted out. So this is what we do. So I have my little intro to everybody who's new, little intro, okay? And you know what's something cool that we figured out this year? And again, I'm running tech on this as well. So, pardon me if I take a little bit of time here. But this is the cool thing that we can do, right? So bring up the display capture, get rid of that. As you can see, I've got the chat right here. You see that? Suns Bucks Finals. Suns Bucks Finals. I don't know actually where I'm on the screen right now. But what we can do is we could have some highlights playing in the background as I speak. I believe this is going to work. I don't know where I'm at on the screen. Hopefully I'm not blocking too much of it. Should be off to the side while this is playing. Yeah, so anyway, we should have that playing in the background. And so let's go ahead and go with a little intro right now. First thing we want to cover, obviously, the first quarter of this one, Lopez and Giannis. At the very beginning of this game, of course, Giannis cleared to play. He was going to go. Attribute that, what I was listening to the commentary, attribute that to his training. A lot of strength training that he does, and he's young. He's only 26. If he was 36, I don't know if he'd be bouncing back in a week from that type of sprain or that strain that he did on his knee against the Hawks in Game 4 of the previous series. But he was able to bounce back. Obviously, if you've seen his growth physically from the start of his career until now, he's very strong. He puts a lot of time in the weight room, and he's probably doing those single leg exercises, which I've been told to do as well as an athlete, to strengthen your legs. And so he was able to make a comeback, and he looked really good. I mean, the cool thing is, maybe I can coordinate this with some of these highlights. The beginning of the game, Lopez and Giannis, they were able to seal Crowder down low. You see, the Bucks do have the height advantage in this series, but DeAndre Ayton was boarding it up like crazy tonight on the glass. He had a historic game. He did something for the first time since Tim Duncan did in '99 finals. And so in a debut, having as many rebounds as he did. So he really showed out. Obviously, Devin Booker, you see some of the highlights right here. He kicks it back to Payne for three. But he came out with really aggressive, a hot start. He had 12 points in the first quarter. And the Bucks were, here we go, they were isoing Giannis on that left side. He drove in. You see bodying Jay Crowder right there. I can do this to the highlights now. And then this is the play that I noted. He bodied Ayton. They know he's going to drive, and they still can't stop him. You see the body and dunk. And for a guy who just had a knee injury, man, he looks really good. So that should be a positive for the Bucks tonight, even though they ended up dropping this game. Cam Johnson, I guess he's studying for his master's in sports business right now. I mean, Jeff Van Gundy said, how does this guy have the time to do that while he's playing in the finals? That's crazy. There's Jeff Teague with the three right there. But Chris Paul and Booker took advantage of the Lopez switch onto him. Look at that. I'm talking about it. Happens right there. Paul hitting the mid-range jump shot as Lopez getting switched onto him. And then right here, again, step back to the right You're hearing, this is what I do for the short videos. You're seeing live commentary of what I usually do for the short videos, the basketball breakdowns. Suns push it to 45-38. Booker hits the running shot off the glass. Obviously, he's really good at that type of shot. Mill comes back right away, Milwaukee that is, and they're going to tie it up. The 7-0 run, Middleton, as he lobs it up to Lopez, and then he comes down and hits the three. He was really the only one keeping them not necessarily above water because it would have been leading, but right close to the surface as they attempted to make the comeback. The CP3 starts to get it going, right? Obviously, ended the night with 32 points. 32 points, 9 assists. He's the first player with 30 points and 8 assists in a finals debut since MJ in 91. So just a great job by him tonight in the debut. Obviously, only game on TV. In the press conference, if you saw that the other day, he was a little, weirded out by that because there's normally other games on TV while he's playing. That Giannis chase down block had the same energy as that LeBron 2016 finals block. If you saw my Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. And if you want to be on these live streams, you got to hit me up on Twitter at Josh Carson JC3, and I can send you the Zoom link, which we're going to get into eventually here. But Chris Paul right there, obviously taking advantage of that Lopez switch. Lopez, well, it wasn't intentional. No Zaza type play where he sticks out the foot on the landing area, you know what I'm talking about, but Chris Paul did land on his ankle there, obviously able to continue and ball it up. We're into the third quarter now, and a CP3 came alive. He had 16 points in this quarter. The Suns open up, and they lead 92-76 going into the third. Chris Middleton, again, he was the only player keeping the Bucks in it, but you see the Suns run. Chris Paul lobs it into DeAndre Ayton. I was about to say Jordan. Woo! Way to watch out, watch out. New names on the block here, people. New names on the block. CP3, that mid-range, man, he's been having that all series. If you have not watched my last video, the title of it, I'm getting a little creative with the titles now. It's called This Is Almost Too Good to Be True. You got to check that thing out, man. You got to check that thing out because it breaks down just everything about this finals matchup that seems too good to be true because it really is. It's a perfect parity matchup. We've gotten what we've wanted as fans of the game. We not want to see all these super teams. Super teams have made the league, right, over the course of history. They're not necessarily bad for the league at all. They bring ratings. But, every now and then you get kind of a blip in the matrix. Like in 1990, you got the Blazers and the Pistons in a finals after a decade that included either Lakers, Celtics in every finals. Now you're getting the Bucks and Suns when everybody thought it would be Nets, Lakers, or Nets, Clippers, or something like that, right? So, you're getting a little blip in the matrix, but these teams definitely, they deserve to be there. I know they've been playing teams that have had injuries. Hey, stuff happens. You got to play who's in front of you. And so you got to check that video out. If you haven't yet, the first thing you should do after watching this all the way through and interacting in the chat, which I will check again after these highlights in my little intro here, you got to watch that video because it goes over everything. Middleton's, as you see him, he's balling. We missed the shot here, but he was the only one, again, gets the rebound, puts it in, keeping their head right at the surface. And yeah, we're going live very soon on the Zoom. But he was the only one really keeping their head right at the surface. Drew Holiday needs to be a little more aggressive. But Game 6 against Atlanta, that 23 points that Middleton had in a quarter, it was the third most in a quarter in playoff history. Like, you got to go check that video out, okay? I've done my advertising. I've done my piece for it. Check it out after this one, all right? Chris Paul's mid-range jump shots, all of it's in there. But you see the Bucks make this little run, right? They make this little run. They're making their way back. Giannis hanging in there in this game. Giannis in this one did what he could, man. Finished with 20 points, 17 rebounds. Pretty good for a guy that just had a pretty, scary looking injury, right? Obviously, what I talked about before, his rehab must have been something serious. Every day committed to the grind, but this was Chris Paul's night. The Bucks, they came all the way back. They cut it to 7. That was the lowest that they cut it to. The Suns, they fought off each run. Of course, they walk away 118-105. DeAndre Ayton had 22 on 80% field goal, 19 rebounds, and that's huge because Phoenix doesn't have the size to match Milwaukee inside. I've made that point a couple times here. But Devin Booker, again, as well. Can't say enough about this guy. He already looks like a veteran in his first playoff run. He's probably going to finish with the most points ever through playoffs. It's crazy what he's doing. He finished with 27 points tonight, 6 assists. And he wasn't a great field goal percentage out there, only 38.1% from the floor. So he's got to improve on that. He hasn't really had a stellar game since game 1 of the conference finals against the Clippers. We had a 40-point triple-double. But the efficiency, it needs to get there. He needs to get there. But, man, I tell you, he's out there. He's being aggressive, helping his team, obviously not being detrimental. So you got to like it. You got to like it. All right, so and there you go again. Valley Boys take game 1 with CP3. Oh, wow, so we're getting a lot of chat here. Oh, yeah, back to the, see that? You see that? Bucks Suns. We got it all dialed. We got it all dialed. Last video was very good. Thank you for watching that 12 flip-flops. I appreciate it. Oh, here we go. Let's admit Alex in. Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday is the X factor for the Bucks. CP3 was made for moments like this. I'm rooting for the Bucks, but CP3 really cooking my Bucks. I sincerely hope both teams have no more injuries. This NBA playoffs has had way too many for sure. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Got the full zoom. We got the right over here.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
If Suns, man, we got 12 flip-flops saying, what the heck? If Suns lost CP3 to the Knicks. Oh, that's tough. That Knicks talk will never stop. All right, so we may have Dennis joining the Zoom in a little bit here. But for now, we got Burley here. And I believe, let me see how this will look. Yeah, I believe I should just be a little bit off to the side. We're not covering anything up. Perfect, perfect. There he is. He's flexing. All right, so Alex, man, I already went through my whole, monologue per se on this game. What's the main thing that stood out to you besides, well, you can mention Chris Paul, obviously, because I know you were big on him.
Can I see your video? Because I'm not seeing your video.
My video will be, well, if you want to see what we got going on. If you want to see what we got going on, that's what we got going on right here.
Okay.
But that means there'll be 2 of me. If you see in the live stream, there's 2 of me because there's a different one of me on a different thing. So, I mean, I guess I could double up like this, but.
Okay, I got you. Oh, man,
yeah,
that game was crazy, man. I agree with the announcers. It seemed right from the jump, both teams were aggressive on the defensive end. Like, it was actually kind of looking like it was going to be a low-scoring game. And with today's NBA standards, it kind of was.
Yeah, it wasn't, what was that final again? 118, 105. Yeah, I mean, we didn't see the massive 3 after 3 after 3, but one of the things I thought was interesting is that Milwaukee, let me see here, I'm going to find this, because overall they had 16 three-pointers on the night. They shot 44% from downtown. Phoenix, as opposed to Phoenix's 11, 32.4%. So, I mean, not bad shooting on the night for them. 45.5% from the field. Phoenix shot 46%. It just seemed like Phoenix was able to go on that run in the third, and they had the edge all the way through.
Yeah, just the third and fourth quarter, you can tell that the Suns, they wanted it more, honestly.
Yeah, it's looking janky with the video there. We're just going to keep it off. Our guy has entered up here in the, well, I guess our screen here on the stream would be top right. Dennis. Is it the Warriors hat, bro? What's going on, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
There he is. Hey, man, so hey, you able to see that game? What time is it over there in Africa, man? 7 a.m.?
That game happened in 4 a.m. And right now for the stream, you set it at 7 a.m. So I was able to catch up with the game. So, yeah, I was able to catch up with it.
All right, cool.
Able to catch up with it. There we go. So what did you think? Initial reactions? As I'm going to drop the Zoom link in the chat here.
I mean, CP3 was cooking them Bucks. And, okay, CP3 was made for moments like this. As earlier in the chat, I mentioned it. I mean, CP3 was ready for the finals. I feel like, the way Giannis went down with that leg injury. Thank God it wasn't an ACL injury in Game 4 with the Hawks. But I feel like in Game 5 and Game 6, the Bucks, figured it out without Giannis. And I feel like for Giannis to get back in the series, he needs like a game like this to, make him like make the adjustments for Game 2. But I feel like the Bucks, I don't want to say that they are better without Giannis because Giannis is he's that guy. But Giannis needs to, grow back to the offense and find his position on the offense because these guys, the Bucks team, got success without him, and he needs to, get such a game like this where he needs to go back and check the film so that he can come back strong in the next game. So I feel like they're gonna tie up the series in game two.
Yeah, that's an interesting point that you make too about Giannis. I mean, nobody can really make the argument that he's going to hurt the team, right? He is their best. I don't even know if the best pure basketball player, because I think Chris Middleton is their best pure just basketball talent. But in terms of best player, I mean, Giannis is their best player. But it is interesting to see that in the last two games against Atlanta, they did not have Giannis, and they really had to come together as a team. They couldn't just rely on everything being on Giannis, right? And so you get him back tonight. Obviously, they could clog the paint a little more against him. There was one possession where they really clogged the paint on him and he turned the ball over. But just integrating him into that offense and just that conversation, I don't really have a clear answer for how they do that right away. But what is that adjustment that you make so you can keep everybody involved? It's a good point that you bring up, man.
Yeah, sure.
There's oh, here we go. Got the gallery view going. I think Philip is in here, and obviously he may have some more perspective medically on the Giannis situation. It's not like anybody's an expert here because we're not working within the organization. But, eventually see if we can have him on. But Burley, any other points that you have that kind of stand out to you?
I noticed that from the Suns' perspective, they were hitting their shots, but I noticed whenever they got into the lane, they would do layups sometimes, but for the most part, they would just like kick it out and just man, what's his first name? Johnson.
Cam Johnson.
I'm blanking on the first name. Yeah, Cam Johnson, and then Cameron Payne. Oh my gosh, they were big for the Suns tonight. I feel not just Paul, Booker, and Ayton, but a lot of their other guys stepped up tonight.
Yeah, that Cam duo is a real thing, like you're talking about. Obviously, Booker and Paul, 32 for Paul, 27 for Booker, 22 Ayton. But Bridges, not a guy that really gets talked about a whole lot.
Yeah.
He had 14. And then, like you just mentioned, the Cam bros, or whatever you want to call them, right? Johnson and Payne, they both had 10 points each off the bench. And so, yeah, those are the type of contributions that you look back at these games and you say, obviously, our star players are going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But that is, obviously, in a 13-point victory, 10 points off the bench apiece from both Cams. I mean, it's a deciding factor.
Yeah.
So it's not the stuff that's going to make the headlines, but it is the stuff to kind of look back on.
And
right?
another thing I noticed from the Bucks' perspective that the Suns may have to watch out for when they watch film is they need to keep a tighter hold on Brook Lopez if they want to win this series, because Brook Lopez, he's a threat from the outside as a big.
Yeah, that is right. He did hit, I believe, 3 or so. Yeah, 3 threes on the night.
Yeah.
3 out of 5 from deep. The thing with Lopez, though, and Dennis, I'll kick it over to you. I don't know if you noticed this. Man, that second quarter, they were getting him switched out on Paul and Booker.
Yeah.
And it was just like time to feast once he was out there. And it's not necessarily that they were driving all the way to the basket on him because he was slow. They were taking advantage of the slowness in a different factor. He cannot recover when Chris Paul makes that in and out move and steps back for 3. He's able to get that space right away, and I believe he even hit an and one from 3 on Lopez in the second quarter there, or third.
Yeah, sure. I mean, CP3 is a mid-range assassin. If that's what I can say about that. I mean,
that's right.
He's pretty quick. He's pretty quick in the mid-range, and also if you check out CP3's film, there's that move that he makes. He goes to the free throw, he does behind the back, then he goes and just gets in his shooting. He did that like a couple of times in the Clippers series. I saw that in the other series. I can't remember the other series, but I've seen CP3 use that, and
The
especially I saw
Nuggets.
that
He was
move.
killing the Nuggets.
Yo,
Yep.
he was killing the Nuggets with it, and also if you watch the Houston Rockets, he was also using that move a lot. So I feel like he was using that move. I saw several instances where he was using that move to kill Brook Lopez in the pick and roll, and I mean, you can't stop. How can you stop that? I mean, that was the question.
Yeah, you can't. The mid-range jump shot is one of those, so many people want to call it a dying breed, but once you get in the
Yeah.
postseason and you need that halfway shot, not all the way, not a three, enough of this analytics stuff where it's threes or layups, like that shot. I'm still going to steal the quote from Jamal Crawford. I was watching an interview. It says that mid-range keeps you honest. The defense doesn't know what you're going to do, if you're going to go all the way
Yeah.
or if you're not pulling up for three. So it's a shot that always keeps you honest. And if you can hit that off the dribble, boy, it's huge. One thing I did want to bring up, and I'll toss it to either one of you or Philip if he's in here and he wants to speak. Chris Middleton. I think this guy, he gets overlooked so much because there's not really a headline that you could put next to Chris Middleton that's flashy. Like, for example, with Giannis, you could say, oh, he's Greek freak. Look at how his freakish athleticism. He's got his long wingspan. He's super tall. He's super athletic. He's a LeBron athletic, right? You can make a lot of things for a Giannis headline. You could do that for Booker. Look at the Kobe comparison. Look at this. You could do that for Chris Paul. Look at the skills he has as a point guard, the perseverance, 16 years in the league, age 36. But you can't really do that with Chris Middleton.
No.
So the media kind of overlooks him. But he's just he's so solid, right? He'll have some nights where he's a little bit off. Maybe he'll have a low shooting percentage. But tonight, and what he's been doing, especially that Game 6 against Atlanta, this guy, you can depend on him. He's proven it over and over again. Definitely a max player. 29 points tonight. He was keeping the Bucks in the game in that third quarter when the Suns were really making their run. Made sure it didn't get to a 30-point lead. He had five threes. What do you guys think about Chris Middleton? And I actually have a question. Chris Middleton, Jason Tatum. Obviously, Jason Tatum, you look at the upside, he's younger. Those guys, to me, are very, very similar in terms of skill set. And you may even say, I don't know, equal skill set? What do you guys think? Chris Middleton.
Yeah. Chris Middleton, I think I shared it with you a couple days ago, but not just because he plays for the Bucks. He kind of reminds me of Michael Redd.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Michael Redd was always kind of on the cusp of stardom, but he could never break out into superstar. Know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
And that's Chris Middleton.
Michael Redd had a couple of those huge games, 40 plus, maybe into 50 points. But he was up there in Milwaukee, and it's not a huge market, and he didn't have some type of freakish athleticism like Giannis to really draw the attention. But he was just solid night in, night out, right?
Yeah. With Michael Redd for the Bucks, the name, he wasn't even the name on the team. It was all about Ray Allen at that point.
Yep. And referencing again another the last time the Bucks really made a long run, right? We're talking, we go back, I don't know if Red was on that team, but 0-1 with the Bucks.
But I think Red and Ray Allen played together for a year or two in Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. I can definitely see that. It's a former Bucks player as well, so way to hit it. Dennis, what are your thoughts on Middleton? I know we've talked about him kind of off screen before, this guy, I don't think he gets the respect he deserves, but what do you got to say about Middleton, man?
Chris Middleton is a great guy. I feel like he goes under the radar because, the Bucks aren't as flashy as the Nets, Lakers, the Celtics. So Chris Middleton, his stardom gets overshadowed by Giannis when people see Giannis plays. But I feel like Chris Middleton, I feel like the max contract that he was given in 2019 is paying off. And Chris Middleton is pretty good. I mean, this guy doesn't get the credit he deserves. If you watch the Hawks series, you know what this guy is made of. I feel like also Ali in the chat has said the guys that Giannis needs by his side to step up and ball out Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. So Chris Middleton and Jason Tatum, I can say okay. I don't want to compare them because Chris Middleton is older, but I feel like I would pick not any slight to Chris Middleton, but I would pick Jason Tatum because I know what I'm getting from Tatum. Sometimes I don't know what I'm getting from Chris Middleton. Sometimes he goes off, he scores a lot of points, then another game he pulls off a dud. But I'm pretty sure I like Jason Tatum. I'll pick Jason Tatum over Chris Middleton. But Chris Middleton is a great guy. I feel like he has what it takes to be great, and he needs to help Giannis in this series. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm with you on that, on the comparison. I think that was one of those things. The Bucks were playing the Celtics early in the bubble last season, and I was watching Middleton face off against Tatum, and I'm like, I wonder who I'd pick between these two. But what we saw from Tatum this year was incredible, right? And the upside, it's a big factor with him. Okay, so one of the closing things that I want to go over as well, we talk about, well, Dennis, you just mentioned, Middleton and Holiday got to help Giannis. Holiday was ultra aggressive, and sometimes it's not great to be ultra aggressive if you're out of control. In a good way, in Game 6, Holiday came out and he was ready to put that thing to bed against the Hawks. Tonight, he played nearly 40 minutes, 39 minutes, 56 seconds. He only had 10 points. He did have 7 rebounds and 9 assists, so it's not like he wasn't doing anything, but he shot 4 for 14 and 0 for 4 from 3. So it might have just been one of those nights. Everybody is fair. You can have it. But when the guy across from you is scoring 32 and putting up 9 assists, okay, first player to do that in their debut in a final since MJ in 91. And you are supposed to be the defensive stopper, okay, right? His defense gets praised a lot, and he was trying to guard Chris Paul. Chris Paul put him in the pick and roll and find Ayton on the roll. Chris Paul was doing his thing tonight, and Drew Holiday couldn't match. What main adjustment do you think Drew Holiday has to make next game for anyone out there? We can start with you, Dennis. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I can say the thing I can say about Drew Holiday is this. I like referencing the 2018 playoff run. This series that Drew Holiday played with the Pelicans, where he and Anthony Davis swept the Portland Trail Blazers. I feel like we can still get the same defensive production from Drew Holiday. So what I can say about Drew Holiday is this: if the shot isn't dropping, the thing that you can keep constant is your defensive awareness and prowess. If you're shooting cold and the other guy is, the other guy is going off, you can try to, stifle his offense and be more of a facilitator to help Giannis, to find Giannis and find Chris Middleton for open looks, and also take the occasional shot when you're open. So Drew Holiday, he needs to, if the shot isn't dropping, defense always has to remain constant so that he can be able to, stop a CP3 from scoring at 32 points, 32-point game. So that's all I have to say.
That's right. You got to pick it up on one end if the other isn't working. I'm with you on that. Burley, main adjustment for Holiday. I mean, it's not like he had a throwback. Yeah. I didn't like the slander, but it's not like he had a throwback Pandemic P game, right? Paul George recovered, and I'm not about that slander, but I'm just saying he had some pretty bad games. Okay, it's not like he had one of those games, but it wasn't the best, and you expect more out of him, out of a max player. Big money. That's what Giannis calls him, big money. What do you expect out of Holiday in Game 2?
Yeah, like through the years, I've noticed with Holiday, he's a very streaky shooter. Like when he does want to shoot the outside ball, but he's great when he drives into the drives to the hoop. So kind of like what Dennis was saying, that if one's not working, go for the other. And it's all about, you hear it all the time in broadcasts and watching the Kings, like all the time you hear it. Something's not working, just go to another level of your game. Not another level, but a different aspect of your game. You're not shooting well, defend the crap out of the ball. You're not defending well, be an assist man. Like that. So it's all about finding the balance with that, with Holiday, I feel. But yeah, Suns will have to prepare, because in my years of watching Drew Holiday, he knows when to turn it on. He's one of those rare players that he can turn it on when he wants to.
Yep, I agree. Again, I think you echo Dennis's point. One aspect of your game isn't there. Put everything you have into another aspect, and so we'll see how he bounces back. Here's one funny stat to kind of end the night here. Jay Crowder. Have any of you seen Jay Crowder's stat line yet?
No.
He went 0 for everything practically, except for the one free throw.
There he is. Get Philip in here, man. Hey, man, you've been quiet so far, listening to the conversation. I appreciate it. Before we go, though, do you know anything about the Giannis situation, or like when you saw that, what was your initial thought?
It was surprising to hear that the injury that he had sustained pretty much resulted in no structural damage. However, there's probably a little bit of a hyperextension if you go and see the angle at which his leg essentially landed in comparison to Joel Embiid's. Giannis's leg went, I want to say, almost 30 degrees inwards, essentially, compared to Joel Embiid's, which looked closer to about 20 degrees. That kind of hyperextension, I genuinely was a little bit shocked to see, especially considering Giannis is a skinnier player. I mean, another reason why I might call him the Greek freak now is because the legs do not extend that far in any person. There's no way he can. So to just see him the way, especially in the first quarter, how he was running, jumping, and ducking, especially with the block that he had on, I believe it was Mikal Bridges, it was genuinely just a blessing to see that he hasn't lost that lift.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for your input on that too. I want to ask another question about that. How can you get something like that treated? What do you imagine that they were doing with him over the course of this last week to get him back so quickly?
First thing is that because there was no structural damage, I'm assuming that they had him do a lot more rehab exercises to make sure that the muscle memory is somewhat intact, and that the, I guess you would call the yips, or the sort of mental trauma of injuring doesn't kick back in as much, by making sure that his normal movements during plays, such as cutting, dunking, etc., that he's able to perform those as naturally as possible, at least until after the season, which he can finally rest, and if they need to treat it with some sort of surgery, or maybe with some PNR injections, or whatever. So until then, just rehab, constantly trying to make sure that that specific knee is moving, and that it's just recovering in as normal of a recovery as possible. I really don't know how they're doing it. There's a lot of secrecy, obviously, because part of the battle is mental, and you want to have that mental advantage over their opponents, so they're not releasing so much medical info, which is understandable.
Yeah, of course. Well, again, hey, thank you for your input on it. Definitely, I mean, the mental hurdle has got to be something. I mean, all of us here have probably had the little, playing basketball or working out or whatever, the little here and there, like, oh, this hurts, or I think I pulled this or something, and it's like you try to go and do a certain move again, and you're thinking more than you would, like, is this gonna hurt it? Am I gonna aggravate this or whatever? And so to see him out there, I mean, when I saw him go baseline and then body DeAndre Ayton, I mean, DeAndre Ayton is a large human being. And that just shows like the strength of Giannis, right? Coming out of a knee in the playoffs, going full speed. I mean, come on, man. And like you said, Philip, the block that he had was reminiscent. I mean, it seriously was probably the closest thing to that LeBron block in 2016 Game 7 that we've seen. Obviously, different situation, not as good because of the moment was, I'm not claiming it was the same thing, but just to see that, man, he definitely earned the name Greek Freak. Okay, any final comments? Actually, hold up first before we do that. See if anybody else has come out here. Let me see. We have CK in the chat. Maybe we could all get on this really quick. Did the Bucks look better or worse than Miami in last year's finals opener? If we can remember back to that, the Heat got blown out, and I think that remained a blowout. And Eric Spoelstra looked super confused on the sideline. I think I still have that picture in here, actually. Oh, yeah, there we go. I just put it up. You guys may not see it, but there it is. They were down 95-70 with 10:49 to go in the fourth quarter, and he just had this look of confusion on his face. I can't believe I still have that in there. So, yes, I'd say the Bucks definitely looked better in this opener. But anyway, any final thoughts? We'll go Alex first.
Oh, man. With the Suns pulling out a game 1 victory, they got to assume that the Bucks are coming for them because knowing Giannis and Drew Holiday, they're gonna be playing with some fire. They're gonna be playing with some competitive anger.
Absolutely, I agree. Dennis?
Seeing how this game has played out, I'm very confident that the Bucks will bounce back and tie up the series. I feel like the Bucks needed such a game so that they can wake up the same way they woke up in the Hawks series. So I am confident this series is gonna go. Let me just call it right now. I'm confident this series is gonna go at least 6 to 7 games. If it's in the Bucks' favor, of course, I'm supporting the Bucks. So yeah, they'll bounce back in game 2 to tie up the series.
Bounce back to tie it up. I mean, the last 2 series they lost game 1s as well, and that. Hey, I can never count them out after seeing the first 2 games in that Brooklyn series where they looked just completely awful. Like they didn't even look like they belonged in the same gym, especially that game 2 in the Brooklyn series. Obviously, there were some injuries, but once they go home, it's hard to win in Milwaukee. Hard to win in Milwaukee. The Hawks are the only team to do it this postseason. 1 game, game 1 of that last series, and Trae Young had to have 48.
Yeah.
So hey. It's going to be hard to win there. So the Suns really, I mean, they got to defend home court. It's not like it's easy to win in Phoenix either. But, the Clippers won a game in Phoenix. The Lakers won a game in Phoenix. So, I think Milwaukee may be a little harder. No disrespect to any Suns fans. But in Milwaukee, hey, a lot of teams have not won in Milwaukee. Any final thoughts from Philip?
Hopefully no more injuries. I said that in the chat before, but
yes, please.
I nearly had a heart attack. My heart definitely dropped when I saw Chris Paul falling
the ankle
from that closeout from, who's it, Brooke Lopez.
Yep.
As an LA kid, I'd seen way too many Chris Paul injuries affecting one of my hometown teams, and yeah, it genuinely was a scare seeing, especially through the replay when they slowed it down and I saw that left ankle wobble a bit. I was genuinely holding my breath for a good couple seconds until after he started playing again. Definitely hoping that the Dario Saric injury isn't that bad. Looked like he
That's
landed
right.
really awkwardly on the left leg at first, but apparently it was his right leg,
Yeah.
which
It was a non-contact deal as well, right? He was driving the lane and he jump stopped and he came up weird.
yeah, might have strained an ACL or a PCL based on the kind of landing that he had. Maybe a torn meniscus, but I'm hoping it's just a smaller strain and that he'll be back. I know he's technically like the fourth or third man off the bench, but he's still pretty important for the Suns.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Well, he provides the size, right? Because if I was Budenholzer, man, I'd go in there and I'd say, look, we got to punish him down low more. There's no way that DeAndre Ayton should be grabbing. How many rebounds did he have tonight? Like 19 rebounds. There's no way he should be dominating the boards that much because they do not have the size advantage. It's Ayton and then Crowder and Bridges going up against Giannis, Lopez, and all the rest of the big guys that they have on that roster for Milwaukee. So I don't know. I think Milwaukee should punish them more inside. But
They are.
to your point with the Saric, anything non-contact is no good. You have to be wary of that because players at this point could start essentially breaking down a little bit more, and stuff like that can happen. So we'll see. Hopefully that's nothing.
One
major.
final
All right?
note. I just took a look at the free throws that both teams had to shoot. Wow.
Suns had a whole lot more, right?
Does that essentially say that DeAndre Ayton a paint defender? Or is it too small of a sample size?
All right. I think the audio cut out just a little bit right there. But the free throws, 25 of 26 of the Suns. I mean, they shot more. They shot 10 more than Milwaukee, but Milwaukee 9 for 16, Suns 25 of 26. I mean, hey, you got to give credit. When a team shoots 96% from the line, I mean, they did what they had to do. All right. Okay, we're getting the running out of time message here. Okay, so I appreciate all y'all for coming out here again and everybody in the chat. We're going to go ahead and we're going to end the Zoom here, and we'll be right back here Thursday night. I guess it'll be Friday morning or wherever for Dennis. But appreciate you waking up, getting out here. Peace out for y'all.
Peace.
All right. Peace.
Appreciate everybody. If you're still here, you're a real one. Appreciate you tuning in again. Thursday, we're back. Keep checking on the channel. We're going to have more content coming soon. We'll see what type of content, but it's going to be good. So thank you for interacting. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, because if you do that, then, YouTube likes it a little bit more, and there's an algorithm. It always changes, but, it's always good to do. And if you like the content, then you might as well just hit the like button. Support it. All right. Appreciate it, and we'll be back with more Topic Tackle coming soon. Finals live streams. I was about to say JC3 out, but we don't do that anymore. Stay solid, people.